So welcome everybody. It is about 1 o'clock. I'm not exactly sure of the time, but it's roughly 1 o'clock, and time for my live weekday broadcasts from my studio. It's blooming chilly today, and I had a very busy day yesterday, so I'm kind of doing the relaxed thing in a big slobby jumper today rather than feeling in the mood to get a frock on. You may know, I did allude to it, that today there would be an announcement about a new project that we would very much like you to get involved with. I say we. This is a project that is in conjunction with the African Fabric Shop. That's Maggie and Bob, and they live near me in the next village across in Meltham. I'm in Holmfirth in Yorkshire. They're in Meltham, so kind of a stone's throw from here. And then, so Maggie and Bob, African Fabric Shop, and Janice Gunner, who you all know as the ex-president of the Quilters Guild, and she is the queen of quilts. So the three of us had a bit of a chat beginning of last week to see what kind of project we might come up with to keep you entertained, keep us entertained. And you may know, if you've been following me over the years, particularly recent years, I've done quite a few community projects, and usually they've involved quilt making of some description. Quilts traditionally are something that brings a community together. They are something that you can do kind of with component parts, so everybody can do their own bit, and then you can bring them together to be one great big whole. They become almost symbolic for a community in that they very much are about togetherness. And way back when, people might sit round, particularly women, but not always, might sit round and hand stitch and hand quilt together. I maybe 6 years ago, I was involved with a big project with military wives. If you think about the military wives choir and make that into textiles, I was kind of the Gareth Malone of textiles, I suppose. And I went into lots of army bases, military bases, and I taught families, mainly wives, but families, quilting and sewing techniques, things that they could transfer into other aspects of their lives, things that would bring different parts and different parts of the military together. And one of the big outcomes from that project was a beautiful military wives quilt. We called the project Stitched Together. So it's a stitched together quilt that was done in a collection of colours from selected by the ladies involved from different military regiments. And you might have seen that quilt at the NEC a couple of years ago during the ICHF Fashion and Embroidery Show, which normally happens kind of this time of year. And Carol Ann Allen, a friend of mine, also from Yorkshire, she helped me in the latter part of that project as well. And it was a beautiful quilt project, bringing folk together. And then when I started to spend more time in Italy, we have a place in Abruzzo, which is central southern Italy, kind of opposite Rome, on a similar level to Rome, but on the other side of the country. Hello everybody, I can't catch all your names, sorry, but hello, really glad you're joining me. So when I spent more time in Italy, I wanted to get more involved in the community, and my language wasn't great, but a really good way to help get involved was to teach some textiles. That's what I know best. And so I taught some silkscreen printing in the local school and to community groups in the local village, which meant that I had to get all my technical language sorted, and I could say "Fac Aussie, do it like this," and demonstrate what I was doing. And from that work, we produced a quilt, and lots of the ladies in Tornareccio, which is our local village, they made log cabins, so log cabin quilt blocks. So I taught them how to do it. We dyed the fabric, we printed the fabric ourselves, and we stitched it up, and then I joined everything together, and those lovely ladies and families, and sometimes we had some men doing it as well, we stitched the quilts together and we quilted it together in the square, or one of the squares in Tornareccio, in some of the bars in Tornareccio. I wanted to take this quilt to as many places as I could. Outside one of the honey shops, we sat there one beautiful afternoon in the shade, stitching away, eating honey ice cream. It's a community event. It's a community thing. That particular quilt from Italy is now in the Comune building in Tornareccio, so kind of like the council building in the local village. And obviously we had a big celebration to celebrate the completion of the quilt, but also it was an opportunity for the local choir to come out, for a band to play, for us to do some dancing, some eating, and there was a big festa because of this quilt. So they can do fantastic things, but it's all about bringing people together and providing community. Now, at the moment, it is a little bit tricky to physically bring ourselves together because we are physically distancing, we are not socially distancing. And so that makes it a little bit tricky to make a quilt together. However, we have come up with an idea. So Maggie and Bob at the African Fabric Shop and Janice Gunner and myself have come up with the idea to create a virtual quilt. And it's going to be the biggest virtual quilt that you and I and they can muster. And we want it to have kind of a sense of significance of our times. So we'd like it to be really bright and joyful and kind of distracting. And we would also like it if all of the pieces within this quilt have a yellow centre to them. Now, traditionally in log cabin block pattern making, quilt making, patchwork, the centre block would either be yellow or red. And this would be to signify, if it were red, it's kind of like the fire in a home. If you imagine that the log cabin pattern, the log cabin structure, I'll show you one here. So this log cabin structure is kind of like the home. Everything is kind of like hugging round this central block. So if it were red, it's like the fire and the warmth and the heart of the home. Yellow kind of signifies putting the light on at the window as a welcome home, but also in this case light at the end of the tunnel, because there will be my equivalent of a silver lining. And we would like everybody to make a log cabin patchwork, and I'm going to give you a link to a page, a web page, where I have put a PDF of instructions for this very block. And there's a little video of me making it. So my studio is in a wreck because I spent yesterday filming for this little block. Some of you will have seen some of the other examples that I've been posting on my social media over the last few days. We'd like it to be 20 centimetres square or thereabouts, and we'd like you to make it up, and then we've got some instructions for you to photograph it. So put it in daylight near a window, not too much strong directional light in one direction, but daylight, nothing too gloomy, and then photograph it straight on and crop the image to a square, and then upload it using the form on the link that I'm going to give you in a minute. Once I've stopped filming, I will give you this link, and there's a form there for you to upload the image. If you title your image with your name before you upload it, then you'll find it easier to track down later on. Hello Claire, lovely to hear from you. If you can share this with some of your friends, that would be great. And then I'm going to put all these together in one big virtual quilt, so that they're visible together online on a web page, and you'll be able to see that on my website, you'll be able to see it on the African Fabric Shop, and you will be able to see it on Janice Gunner's site. And you will all be part of this massive community project, and it's obviously an international project. It's not going to cost you anything to get involved. You don't have to use these fabrics if you don't want to. These particular fabrics are from the African Fabric Shop, and they are shui fabrics, and they're beautiful colours. I've been talking about the fact that I was going to discharge my unfinished quilt that I made in Janice's workshop, and unfortunate phrase, discharge printing, but it's a colour reduction method. Now these particular fabrics are created using a similar method. The fabric is dyed this strong background colour first, and then, let me find a really useful one. The paler tones that you see in here, so the little dots, they're printed with discharge paste. So the colour is reduced out of the purple dye, and then extra colours are printed on top. So you can use these fabrics if you wish. You may have something already in your stash. You can use recycled fabrics. You might have been clearing out some wardrobes this week, and you have got some extra fabric hanging around. The key thing is that we try and make these as bright as we possibly can, that they've got the yellow square in the middle, and they're all roughly the same size, so 20 centimetres square. This is because ultimately we would like to gather all these pieces together and make the real thing, so that we can transfer the virtual into the reality. And if they're all the same size, we will be able to do that. If you make them different sizes, it's very difficult. So all the measurements, all the sizes and instructions are on a PDF on the page that I am about to post on my web page. Janice has written those, thank you Janice. So they're really clear, they're really straightforward, and anybody can do it. You do not need to have a sewing machine. You can stitch this by hand, okay? I've done mine with machine, and can you see the back? That's what it looks like on the back. So I have got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 rows of stitch. You can do that by hand. You've got plenty of time at the moment, haven't you? So by hand, recycle fabric if you wish, dye and print your own fabric first if you wish, go for African fabrics if you wish. The choice is yours, but please put a yellow centre in there, and that is the continuum, the continuous factor, and the one key element that's going to bring all of these quilt blocks, all of these individual quilt blocks together, and it's going to be that yellow centre. We want there to be thousands of these things, thousands. I kind of feel like I'm making huge amounts of admin for myself, but I have streamlined it as much as I can on my webpage. You will find it, I will post the link. The other thing that you can do once you have beautifully made this, yes, it is going to look blooming cool, Claire, I agree, it's going to look fantastic. It's going to be really bright, really cheerful. You're going to kind of scroll through this massive online quilt, this massive image of blocks of quilt, and try and pick out your own one. Okay, you make it, you photograph it in beautiful natural light, you crop that image so that it's a square, you upload it using the form on my website, and then you can go to Instagram and put it on your Instagram profile and attach the hashtag virtual log cabin. No one else has used that hashtag at the moment. Only use it for your finished quilt blocks, and then when you search virtual log cabin, all of the blocks will come up in that Instagram feed and make their own quilt as if by magic. Okay, so only use that hashtag virtual log cabin for your finished block images, ready squared off. Okay, and then we can automatically make an Instagram virtual quilt. Does that make sense? Kind of hope so. If you've got any questions, you can ask me on my page, and then other people can see the responses as well, whereas if we do it privately, they can't see the responses. Can these pieces be put together later for charity? Well, they would definitely, hopefully, be put together into one big gigantic quilt. We will find some way to do that. And yes, Carol Ann, please share so that we get a fantastic community result. We will, Dominique, find some way to put these together when we have the opportunity to get all the live pieces, all the real pieces together. We'll work that one out. We haven't really got together on how that's going to work. There's quite a lot of logistical implications to getting pieces from lots of different countries. At the moment, I don't want anybody to be posting anything internationally, so let's just keep it virtual for now, and when things are a little bit calmer, then we can work out how we are going to put them together, how we're going to put them together in a real sense, and we might do it country by country. I don't know, we can work that out later on. But for now, it's just going to be virtual, and it's going to be on our website. So you will be able to see the finished quilt or the constantly accumulating quilt on my website, on the African Fabric Shop, and on Janice Gunner's website. And all the links to those are also on the web page that I am going to give you very, very shortly. So I need everybody to share. I need everybody to share this project. You can do it and get involved if you're a professional. You might be a real purist quilt maker, and I'm sorry that I am not. But this is my version, and it's perfectly acceptable even for the really, really professional quilt makers. You might have children that you want to do this with. You might have grandchildren that you speak to on Skype every day, and you could show them how to do this so that they learn how to sew, they keep their fingers busy, and they get involved in something much bigger. Yes, it could hang in Piece Hall. I think it might be even bigger. We'll talk about it. If you've got real suggestions about where a ginormous thing could end up, and how it could be made, then let me know. It's a huge project. For now, I really need to keep it just virtual. So the thing I need you to do is make. I need you to make, and I need you to share, and I need you to encourage other people to make and then photograph and upload to make this gigantic virtual quilt. Then we'll work out all the other real logistics later on, okay? By submitting your piece on the form on my webpage, we'll have your email address. Please check that you write it properly. We'll have your email address, and then we can get in touch with you about updates of the quilt, how to potentially send your pieces to us, and we'll give you progress updates on the scale that this piece gets to, because I'm hoping we're going to get thousands of submissions. Yes, Caroline, I am brave or a little bit mad. 1 block each or more than one? It's up to you. You can get really busy if you like. I'm not worried. I leave that one up to you. I'd like you to encourage other people who maybe don't quilt or don't sew. And this isn't just for quilters, this is for anybody and everybody, and it is free to get involved with. It's free to be part of this community, and we'll set up some sort of Facebook page so that you can share your ideas. But I would like you, through your social media, to share the link that I'm going to give you, to share this project so that as many people as possible can get involved. People can learn how to sew, and if you're watching this, you probably sew already. And no, there's no time limit. You probably sew already. You could teach someone else how to sew through Skype or Zoom or FaceTime or one of those kind of things. I'm going to guess everybody has got some scrap fabric at home and a needle and thread. Okay, that's all this needs. This particular piece and the instructions that we are giving you is foundation pieced. So it has got a piece of fabric on the back to help hold everything together, and this is one of Mark's old shirts, so it doesn't need to be anything fancy, just something quite fine, and it will help the quilt piece move well. I've used these particular fabrics, firstly because they're from the African Fabric Shop, secondly they're incredibly bright, thirdly they're really easy to work with. They have a little bit of starch in them naturally, and I didn't wash them before I used them, really because I knew they weren't going to be for anything that was likely to get washed. It does mean that I can fold and finger crease them really, really easily, so it made it a cinch to work with them, and they make up beautifully. They're really bright, they're really cheerful. That's what we want at the moment, to give us a little bit of quilting sunshine or fabricy sunshine, okay? Key thing is, you don't need to be a quilter, you don't need to be able to sew, but all the instructions are on the webpage that I shall give you, and we need you to share and get involved and get other people involved. We're kind of relying on you lot to get the work out there and to get the information out there in a viral sense. In the same way that the virus is spreading, you can spread the joy of quilt making instead. So please get involved. You can send me further suggestions if you have any, and I will try and see how they will work in with this as best I can. Please go and check out the other websites involved. So the African Fabric Shop have a whole range of beautiful fabrics ready and waiting for you. If you want to know more about log cabin making, stitching, sewing, then Janice has a great book out at the moment that tells you all about log cabin, the various different variants of the design. I haven't stuck really carefully to it, and this pink should have gone round here and not up here, but honestly, no one is gonna really shoot me down for that. Is it yellow only for the center? Yes, please, can we try and keep yellow in the center if you can? That is light at the end of the tunnel. It's kind of a light on in the window of the home. We are all at home at the moment. I didn't throw this idea together. There's reasons for using log cabin. Log cabin is about the cabins that we are in, and this is the light at the end of the tunnel, okay? Or it's the warm glow of the home, okay? So there's significance in using the log cabin patchwork design. Janice's book will give you more variants of this log cabin should you wish. It doesn't need to be exactly like this, but we do want that 20 centimetre square. I'm repeating myself now because different people are watching. We want that 20 centimetre square or 8 inches. Metric and imperial sizes are all on the PDF that Janice has written, which you can download from the webpage that I'm about to link on my Facebook page. Please, please share it. We can look at ways to translate this into different languages if need be. So I will make I'm going to try and make a little version in Italian. There's my challenge for the next week or so, to translate it into Italian and do a little Italian video. How about that? If you would like to do the same in other languages, feel free, okay? And if you want to send me a copy of that, I will link to that as well if we've got it in a collection of languages, okay? So if you've got any more questions about it, what about in Swedish? I tell you what, Eva, if you would like to translate it into Swedish, that would be wonderful. I know people who will translate it into Dutch, and I will definitely have a go at the Italian version. If you can do a video with you speaking it rather than you having to type it, that's great. Either which way, I'm not worried. But yes, in Japanese, if someone else could do Japanese, that would be great. Get sewing, start raking out your stash or going online to do some ordering of fabrics, and you can use a rotary cutter to cut with. You can use scissors to cut with. We all have those. Well, we don't all have rotary cutters, but you've definitely got a pair of scissors in the house that will cut fabric. So there are no excuses. I want everybody to have a go, please, and start submitting. It's free. It's free. It won't cost you anything, and it's not a selection thing. All the quilt blocks that you send to me through the submission form will end up in this big quilt, okay? So it can, you might feel that your sewing is poor. Doesn't matter. It's not going to be judged against anybody else's. This is for everybody, okay? It's not just for quilt makers, for absolutely everybody. So please, please, please share the link that I am about to post so that we can spread this as virally as possible. If you're in any groups, whether it's Embroiderers Guild groups or whether it's in quilt groups, please tell them about this. Please give them the link. Please ask them to get involved. Okay? I'm sure you've got loads of questions. Hopefully not too many, because hopefully I've covered everything. But this is a huge project, and we would like you to be part of it. Okay? Thank you. That's my daily broadcast done for today. I can get on with some other bits and pieces in the studio. Need a bit of tidy up after yesterday's filming, and I'd really like to go and make some ravioli, because I watched Julia this morning making ravioli in Abruzzo, and I'm inspired to go and do some for myself. So I will use my rotary cutter maybe for the ravioli. Who knows? So see you tomorrow. If you missed any of the information, it will all be on the link that I am about to share. Okay, it's all on the PDF, on the link. All the information, the submission form and everything is on the page that I will share in a moment. So 1 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock every weekday, my regular broadcast from the studio here in Holmfirth. Well, thank you very much for being part of this. Thank you very much in Fiadone next week from Julia. Now Fiadone is just a beautiful, beautiful snack, maybe good picnic snack, something to eat between meals, and there's lots of cheese and egg inside, kind of wrapped up in pastry. And Julia in Abruzzo showed me how to make that back in the summer, and I made some for my birthday party the following week. So I always thank Julia, and I do encourage you to watch Julia's live cooking stream on Sunday mornings. It's at about 11 o'clock I think, or 11:30, can't remember. I'll share her page and you can join in on that. It's part in Italian, it's part in English, so regardless of which language you understand, you will you'll get the gist and be able to make fiadone for yourself. It's a very traditional Abruzzese snack. So enough of the food, I'm getting hungry. Please get involved, please share. All the info is in the link that I will give you now, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Mwah.